Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for October 2023. So on October 4th, we have Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, ruler of information, communication, how it is that we're expressing ourselves, moving out of his place of power in this Virgo energy to set up shop in Libran energy. So we have to unpack this. We have to understand that Virgo season that we just came out of was Mercury's rulership. Mercury was in his place of power in Virgo season, but we didn't accomplish a lot. We didn't gain a lot of information, a lot of clarity, because Mercury was retrograde for the whole entirety of it. Now, having Mercury be retrograde in its place of power was the reason why we had to reflect back on how it is that we've gotten here, how it is that we created this particular situation. We had tunnel vision goggles on. We were able to kind of get fixated on the details of our lives. We had to take a good look at what it is that we're allowing to take place in our mental plane, because of course that Virgo energy was ruled over by Mercury, but is an earth energy. So what we're focusing on is what we're bringing to life. Now, many of us not in a good mental plane type of situation while Mercury was in the Virgo energy, because we're highly critical, super judgmental, especially when it comes to casting judgment and criticism upon ourselves. Reason for that, we have to kind of pick ourselves apart. We have to pick the world in which we've created around us apart to understand what needs to stay and what needs to go. The Virgo energy has a healing capability to really focus in on what isn't working, what we've outgrown, what is broken, what is worth fixing, worth repairing, worth healing, and where we can do things a little bit better. So it's a lot of pressure on the mental plane. Now, granted, Mercury came out of his retrograde, but sat in his post-retrograde shadow period up until the 1st. So he technically had about 2.5 days of being clear of the post-retrograde shadow period in his place of power in this Virgo energy. That is likely why the wheels of the mental plane have been spinning at a very, very fast rate since we came into October. Of course, if you haven't listened to the October energy forecast as of yet, I'm going to recommend you do so. If you haven't downloaded your zodiac forecast for the month, definitely get on that as well. It's going to give you a bigger, broader perspective of what it is that we're actually building towards here, which of course is eclipse season. Okay, so we're having Mercury move out of the Virgo energy. We're having Mercury move into Libran energy. So we're moving out of an earth sign that is ruled over by Mercury in air sign for full air in Libran energy. The whole point of Libran energy is to find a middle point, find balance, find a common ground. But we normally don't find that until the end of the transit. We have to explore the extremes in order for us to even understand what the middle ground needs to be. So we're talking about Mercury, who is all about our thoughts, all about the way that we need to communicate ourselves, all about bringing the right kind of information in order to make an informed decision. And of course, it's laughable because nobody's making any kind of decision in Libra season, let alone with Mercury in Libra. Indecision reigns supreme in Libran energy because it represents by the scales that we have to find the pros and cons in every single thing that we're thinking about. This is not a time of action. It's a time of processing, a time of contemplation, a time of conversation, a time of renegotiating, compromising, collaborating in order for us to end up at a decision point. So, of course, we're a lot more bubbly, a lot more friendly in this Libran energy because, of course, the Libran energy likes to stay in the shallow end of our emotions. We want to mask the more complex, the more deep and intense emotions behind the happy-go-lucky Libran mask. We want everybody to get along. We want everything to be fair. We want everything to be just tickety-boo, even if it means sacrificing our own wants, needs, and desires to do it. Now, this particular Libran energy, of course, has us very focused on our one-on-one relationships. It's about the relationship dynamic. And of course, we're exploring this new relationship that we're building within ourselves with the new version of self trying to emerge through this cocoon to butterfly situation and transformation. We're not there yet. We're still a pile of goo in the cocoon. And so there's a lot of thoughts that we're bouncing on ourselves, a lot of perspectives that we're definitely questioning within ourselves, whether or not we're still in alignment with. So of course, the impact that we're going to have, the influence that we're going to have on our existing relationships is really going to depend on what it is that we're building within ourselves. Regardless, this is a good time for us to be thinking about how we can be better, how we can meet people halfway, how we can improve certain situations and areas of our lives that, of course, we're identifying are extreme, are out of whack, how we can bring them into balance, how we can reach a point of peace and harmony and acceptance, not only within ourselves, between our heart and our head, and new version of self and our inner realm and our outer realm, but with other people. And so the good part about Mercury being in Libra energy is that we're able to see both sides of the coin. Where we had tunnel vision in Virgo energy, now we're able to see a bigger, broader perspective. But of course, that illuminates more questions. It illuminates more things to process, more things to debate upon, more things to try and find a common ground within. This is going to be a back and forth. This is the teeter-totter of the scales, trying to find, excitement, information, details, and then all of a sudden we take that mental plane in the most negative thought that you could possibly get. We pick ourselves apart. We let the fears, the doubts, the insecurities get the best of us, and then guess what happens? That scale reaches the highest point. What do? We got to do? We got to bring it back into balance. We got to talk ourselves down. We got to build ourselves up again. So it's a constant ebb and flow, push and pull, up and down of this inner chatter and, of course, information and conversations taking place in our outer realm. This is not a time to make any kind of decisions, let alone a quick decision. We are sitting on the fence for good reason. We have to figure out what side of the fence we actually want to jump down off of this fence and actually land on. The grass may be greener on the other side, but again, the grass is greener where you water it. So now this is like sitting on the fence saying, oh, I really like this particular side of the fence, but my heart is being called to this side of the fence, which isn't as aesthetically pleasing. What can I do about it? How can I improve it? How can I at least make it match the more favorable side, or even push it to a better standard than what it is that I'm currently craving? So again, this is about finding common ground, finding that compromise point within ourselves and in the relationship dynamic with other people. Here's the thing though, the Libran energy in its entirety is very people pleasing. So we may find that we are biting our tongue in order to kind of keep the peace, which of course creates a war within ourselves. So that's never good. It is also putting us all in a situation where we're a little bit more easily able to go along with other people's thoughts and opinions, even if we don't agree with them, because we would just prefer for them to live in their happy little land without us bursting their bubble, so to speak. But of course, that does us no favors. We're not being real and raw and authentic within ourselves because we're wearing this people-pleasing, happy-go-lucky, living in the shallow end, everything is beautiful, everything is well type of mask that Libran energy typically wears. So especially in our interactions and our negotiations, we don't really want to be the bully. We don't want to be the bad guy. And so many of us are definitely going to water ourselves down in order to not be that aggressive person, to be that bad guy, to be the bully. Now that means that we're all just kind of, surface area, shallow end, which of course is not real, not raw, not authentic, but this is where we're operating from. We all want to get along. We all just want peace and harmony in life. But of course, that isn't real life. And so we do have to kind of examine the areas of our lives that we do feel a call in order to balance out. And we are going to do what we have to do, especially if it means talking with other people, compromising with other people, renegotiating the terms of our relationship dynamics with other people in order for us to find a happy sweet spot. So, of course, this is a great time for new information and new conversations to take place. However, we have the ability to see other people's thoughts and opinions and points of view. But again, we are not being real and raw and authentic with how it is that we actually feel. So here we might be absorbing, receiving other people's information and know that they're not being as real and raw and authentic as they should be in this truth, in this conversation. So there is, again, this mask that we all seem to be wearing, and that can be very hard to have real heart-to-hearts, which of course we want to have while Mercury is in this Libran energy. Now, this is, again, great time to kind of clear the air, especially coming out of a Mercury retrograde. Venus was retrograde as well. There is a lot weighing on our heart space, on our head space. We've been having a hard time getting our heart and our head in alignment, being able to even articulate what it is that we want, need, and desire for ourselves, let alone be able to open up and have those conversations with other people. But now we're opening up those dialogues. We want to meet each other halfway, even if it is creating a little bit of chaos and craziness within ourselves. We just want to reach a little bit more of a peaceful place within ourselves, within our outer realm. So, although there are some very good pros, there are equally just as many cons. And we really dislike being into too complex conversations, because again, we don't want to have to kind of remove our fake facade mask here. We want to avoid being rude. We want to avoid being too much about what I want, what I need, what I desire. Because again, that's Aries energy that sits across from the Libran energy. We're trying to, we're really trying to focus on our relationships, our partnerships, and not be as aggressive to put all of our own wants, needs, and desires at the forefront, which completely conflicts with that full moon in Aries that we just had, which is pushing us to kind of say, you know what, we got to create a little bit of distance from some of these personal relationships so that I can do what I need to do for myself, so that I can pursue my own happiness, pursue my own goals, dreams, and desires for my own soul's evolution. The Libran energy is where we start sacrificing all of those things in order to just be liked and to get along with other people and to make other people feel special, even if it means that we do not. And so we really have to kind of strike a balance here. Again, Libran energy, it's all about balance. We have to really avoid the extremes, even though we're going to be thrown into them. We have to constantly be making our way to that common middle ground.